Imagine stepping into a bustling car dealership on a rainy London afternoon, your umbrella dripping as you catch sight of a gleaming row of brand-new electric cars. You expect eye-watering prices, perhaps a well-meaning salesperson talking up long-term savings. But this time, something is different. Overnight, prices have plummeted by thousands of pounds. Models that once seemed untouchable have suddenly become attainable. This is not a fleeting promotion. It is the start of a new era for British motorists, a government-backed push totaling over £650 million, designed to transform not just how we drive, but how we think about mobility, energy, and our impact on the planet. For years, the dream of driving a clean, silent electric vehicle remained elusive for millions across the United Kingdom. The technology was there. Sleek Teslas and innovative Nissans gliding silently through city streets. But the high upfront cost and the nagging worry of, will I find a charger before I run out of battery, kept many from making the leap. Data tells the story. For a long time, electric vehicles were on average over £15,000 more expensive than their petrol-powered counterparts. Battery electric vehicles, often called BEVs, made up just over 1 in 5 new car sales, far below what policymakers and climate activists had hoped for. Now, the government is rolling the dice on a policy that could change everything: the return of the electric car grant. After the previous plug-in car grant was axed 3 years ago, citing budget concerns and market maturity, the market for electric vehicles hit a wall. Sales stagnated, and the nation's ambitious climate goals seemed to drift further out of reach. But with a looming ban on the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by the end of this decade, something drastic had to give. Enter the Electric Car Grant Initiative, with funding confirmed until at least 2028. This isn't just a repeat of the past. The new scheme offers up to £3,750 off the price of fully electric cars costing £37,000 or less. But crucially, only the most sustainable vehicles, those produced with the lowest carbon emissions from factory floor to finished product, are eligible for the full grant. That means manufacturers are being pushed to clean up their supply chains as well as their vehicles. But this new grant is not a simple price cut handed over at the checkout. Unlike its predecessor, buyers will not see the discount instantly. Instead, car manufacturers must apply for eligibility for each model, meaning it could take weeks before the savings filter through to showrooms and onto forecourts across the country. The Department for Transport has made it clear. The scheme is subject to change, and if the £650 million pot runs dry, the grant could be withdrawn without notice. It is first come, first served, and for the car industry, the stakes could not be higher. Why such urgency? The United Kingdom's climate targets are among the world's most ambitious. Under the Climate Change Act of 2008, the nation has legally committed to reaching net zero emissions by the middle of this century. Transport, which is responsible for around 1/4 of the country's greenhouse gases, is a critical battleground. The zero-emission vehicle mandate compels manufacturers to increase the proportion of zero-emission vehicles they sell every year, with the target rising steadily until reaching 100% by the year 2035. Missing these targets can mean hefty financial penalties, so both government and industry are under pressure to deliver. Industry experts are watching closely, mixing hope with caution. Ian Plummer of AutoTrader, a leading voice in the automotive marketplace, says, "Affordability is the biggest barrier, and this grant will help, but long-term success depends on making electric vehicles competitive without subsidies." Edmund King of the AA echoes this sentiment, observing, "The £3,750 grant is a positive step, but more needs to be done to address range anxiety and charging infrastructure gaps." The numbers tell a compelling story. Today, the average price of a new electric vehicle in the United Kingdom stands at nearly £50,000, substantially higher than the £34,000 average for new petrol cars. This 22% premium puts electric vehicles out of reach for many families, especially as the cost of living crisis squeezes household budgets. The hope is that by narrowing this price gap, the government can encourage more everyday drivers, commuters, school-run parents, small business owners to make the switch to electric. But cost is only one piece of the puzzle. There is a persistent fear among would-be buyers. Where will I charge my car? A recent survey by McKinsey found that more than half, 52%, of potential electric vehicle buyers in the United Kingdom still worry about the scarcity of charging stations. This is what experts call range anxiety, the fear that you will run out of battery power before reaching your destination or the next available charging point. The government has responded with a bold plan. By the year 2030, it aims to have 300,000 public chargers installed across the country, a tenfold increase from today's numbers. This massive infrastructure push is intended to erase range anxiety as a barrier to adoption. Councils, private companies, and community groups are already racing to install rapid chargers at supermarkets, train stations, and motorway service areas. In London alone, there are ambitious targets to double the number of public chargers in the next 3 years. Still, the rollout is uneven. Urban areas are seeing rapid growth in charging infrastructure, but rural communities and smaller towns are often left behind. Vicky Reid of Charge UK, representing the charging industry, warns, "This investment is a vital boost, but the charging industry needs consistent policy support to meet the growing demand." Without nationwide coverage, the fear of being caught without a charge may linger, especially for those living in flats or houses without off-street parking. Another challenge is the used electric vehicle market. As new incentives drive up the number of electric cars on the road, concerns have grown about what happens to these vehicles after their first owner decides to upgrade. Depreciation has been a major concern, with some used electric vehicles losing value faster than their petrol counterparts. Toby Poston of the British Vehicle Rental and Leasing Association cautions, "While the grant is welcome, there's a risk of further destabilizing the used EV market, where depreciation is already a major concern. If incentives focus solely on new cars, second-hand buyers may be left out, slowing the wider transition to clean mobility." The stakes are enormous. If the electric car grant succeeds, the United Kingdom could see a dramatic shift in its automotive landscape. Picture this. By the year 2030, half of all new cars sold could be electric, a feat that would slash emissions, clean up city air, and put the United Kingdom on the path to net zero. This scenario is supported by optimistic forecasts, such as those from AutoTrader, which predicts a 15 to 20% upswing in electric vehicle sales for 2026, spurred by these new incentives. But there is also a risk of falling short. If infrastructure lags behind, if manufacturers struggle with administrative hurdles, or if the public remains skeptical about electric vehicles' value, market share might stall at only 30% by the end of the decade. That would leave the country well short of its climate goals, and the government's gamble could be seen as a costly misstep. To understand what is possible, look to Norway, a small country that has become a giant in electric mobility. In Norway, more than 4 out of every 5 new cars sold are electric, thanks to a sweeping package of incentives that includes VAT exemptions, toll reductions, and free parking in many cities. Norway's experience shows that with the right mix of policy, investment, and public buy-in, an electric revolution is possible. But it also highlights the importance of sustained government support and clear, consistent messaging to consumers. Back in the United Kingdom, the automotive sector is investing heavily to catch up. Last year alone, the industry funneled over £4 billion into electric vehicle manufacturing and research, a 35% increase from the previous year. The Faraday Battery Challenge, a flagship government initiative, has committed £610 million to developing next-generation battery technology and boosting domestic production. These investments are designed to secure high-quality jobs, reduce reliance on imported batteries, and position the United Kingdom as a global leader in clean mobility. Environmental benefits are also in sharp focus. A University of Oxford study found that electric vehicles in the United Kingdom deliver a 70% reduction in life cycle emissions compared to petrol cars, even when factoring in the current energy mix. As the national grid becomes greener, these benefits will only grow. Clean air, quieter streets, and a healthier environment could become everyday realities, not distant dreams. But for all the optimism, challenges remain. Sue Robinson of the National Franchise Dealers Association points out, "Our members need more support to sell electric vehicles, as many consumers still perceive them as poor value due to high upfront costs." Ginny Buckley of electrifying.com adds, "The support is aimed exactly where it's needed most. From school-run staples to budget-friendly runarounds, the grants apply to cars that fit the needs of everyday drivers." So what does all this mean for you, the viewer, the driver, contemplating your next car purchase? First, if you have been considering making the switch to an electric vehicle, now is the time to do your homework. The new grant could knock thousands of pounds off the price of eligible models, particularly those under £37,000. But do not be swayed by the sticker price alone. Take into account the total cost of ownership, home charging installation, the cost of electricity versus petrol, insurance premiums, and the likely resale value when it is time to upgrade. The secondhand market is still finding its footing, so consider how long you plan to keep the car and what support might be available for used models in the future. Second, stay informed about the rollout of charging infrastructure in your area. While councils and private firms are racing to install new charging points, progress can vary dramatically from one region to another. If you live in a rural area or a part of the country with fewer public chargers, consider lobbying your local representatives or joining community efforts to bring more charging options to your neighborhood. Your voice can make a real difference in shaping local policy. Third, pay attention to the details of the grant as they are announced. Because manufacturers must apply for eligibility, not every model will be discounted right away. The government has set up a two-tiered system based on sustainability criteria. Only the greenest cars, those with the lowest emissions in their manufacturing process, qualify for the full £3,750. Others may receive a reduced grant, with the exact amounts and criteria still to be clarified. This means you should check carefully which vehicles are eligible before making your purchase. Fourth, consider the broader shift happening in the automotive world. The electric car grant is only one piece of a larger puzzle. The zero-emission vehicle mandate, hefty penalties for non-compliance, and ongoing investments in battery technology and charging infrastructure are all part of a coordinated effort to steer the country toward a cleaner, more sustainable future. As a consumer, every electric car you buy sends a powerful signal to manufacturers and policymakers that the transition to clean mobility matters. Fifth, be mindful of technological innovation. The pace of change in electric vehicles is astonishing. Battery ranges are improving, charging times are dropping, and new models are hitting the market every month. The Faraday Battery Challenge and other research initiatives are working to ensure that British-made batteries are among the best in the world, supporting both jobs and sustainability. Keep an eye on announcements from automakers and research bodies. What seems expensive or limited today may look very different in just a few years. Let us not forget the wider economic impact. The transition to electric vehicles is not just about climate change, it is also about jobs, skills, and the future of the British automotive industry. By investing in battery manufacturing, research and development, and new supply chains, the United Kingdom hopes to secure its place as a leader in global car production. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reshape the nation's industrial base and ensure prosperity in a rapidly changing world. As we look to the future, several scenarios are possible. In the most optimistic case, the combination of the electric car grant, robust infrastructure investment, and sustained public enthusiasm could push the electric vehicle market share to 50% by the end of this decade. Urban air would be cleaner, greenhouse gas emissions would tumble, and British cities could become showcases for sustainable living. In a more moderate scenario, persistent challenges, such as patchy charging infrastructure, concerns over used electric vehicle values, or economic uncertainty could limit market share to around 40%. And in a pessimistic outcome, administrative hurdles, slow rollout, or public skepticism might see electric vehicle adoption stagnate at 30%, putting climate targets at risk. The lesson from history is clear. Transformative change is possible, but it requires coordinated effort across government, industry, and society. The original plug-in car grant, launched in 2011, played a vital role in jump-starting the electric vehicle market. For 11 years, it provided more than £1.4 billion in support, helping nearly 500,000 motorists make the switch to cleaner cars. Its success, and its eventual winding down, shows that incentives must evolve with the market, supporting early adopters, mainstream buyers, and eventually the mass market. The new electric car grant is designed with this lesson in mind, focusing on affordability, sustainability, and long-term impact. So does the new grant guarantee a green revolution? It is a powerful signal and a substantial investment, but it is not a silver bullet. The real transformation of Britain's roads will depend on a holistic approach: investment in infrastructure, support for both new and used electric vehicles, technological innovation, and, crucially, consumer confidence. Policymakers must stay nimble, ready to adjust as the market evolves and new challenges emerge. The future will be shaped not just by government action, but by millions of individual decisions. Families weighing up costs, businesses investing in fleets, communities demanding cleaner air. Here is an intriguing fact. While all eyes are on the United Kingdom, Norway's dramatic success provides both inspiration and A cautionary tale. More than 80% of new cars sold in Norway are electric, propelled by bold policies like VAT exemptions, reduced road tolls, and a relentless focus on convenience for drivers. The result is a country well ahead of the curve, but also one grappling with familiar challenges: how to support the used market, ensure grid stability, and keep incentives sustainable over the long term. The United Kingdom's journey is just beginning, but with enough momentum, it could join the ranks of global electric vehicle leaders. So as you consider your next move, ask yourself, will you be part of the electric transformation? Are you convinced that the new grant is enough to tip the scales? Or do you think more support is needed, perhaps for charging infrastructure, used cars, or public education? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below with your perspective, share your experiences, and let us know what would convince you to make the switch. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the future of electric vehicles in the United Kingdom, be sure to subscribe for more insights on global economics and technology. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. And join us next time as we explore the forces shaping the world's biggest industries. Thanks for watching.